The story begins in the United States in 1941. At the end of this year, there was a shocking event that shook the entire nation, the Pearl Harbor incident. It came suddenly and left many Americans stunned with fear and sorrow for a long time. But amidst the grief, some people started thinking about how to retaliate. One such person was Adams, a dentist who also had another identity. He was an inventor. Before Pearl Harbor, his most famous invention was a device that allowed ground-based communication with airplanes. Unfortunately, this invention didn't catch on at the time. After hearing about Pearl Harbor, however, Adams' anger fueled his mind to think of ways to create weapons for retaliation. While traveling in New Mexico, he visited a bat cave and heard descriptions from the tour guide about bats living not only in caves, but also in human structures like attics, bridges, and even houses. This inspired him. If bats could carry items heavier than their own weight, why not use them to carry bombs? Adams knew that most Japanese buildings were made of wood, so he imagined missiles carrying bats with small incendiary devices attached to their bodies, flying into every wooden structure in Japan. It was a brilliant idea. In January 1942, Adams submitted his proposal to the White House. To everyone's surprise, President Roosevelt approved it and appointed Adams to lead the project. This sounds like something out of a movie. But during wartime, many people sent ideas to the government with no response. How did this one get through? Some say it was because an animal expert named Donald Griffin recommended it to Roosevelt. Others believe it is due to Adams' connection with Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady. Anyway, the project moved forward. The team included a mammologist, actors, former hotel managers, fitness instructors, ex-gang members, and even a Navy Marine who used to work on lobster boats. There were also 2 high school lab assistants. It is hard to imagine such an eclectic group working on a top-secret weapon. But the project needed experts too. A chemist from Harvard joined in as a key figure. The first challenge was choosing which bat species to use. They couldn't pick the largest bats like the Philippine flying fox, because they were rare and would be noticed easily. The team considered the Western Mastiff bat and the Townsend's big-eared bat, but ultimately chose the Mexican free-tailed bat for its abundance and ability to carry heavy loads. These bats are also incredibly fast, faster than any bird recorded, and love living in human buildings, making them perfect for the plan. They applied to capture thousands of these bats from caves where they lived naturally. The most important decision was made: which bat would be used. Now here is a question. Scientists say Mexican free-tailed bats fly faster than any bird, but some birds can reach speeds up to 389 kilometers per h. Why do scientists still claim the bats are faster? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll pin the most voted answer as a top comment. After deciding on the type of bat, Adams' team faced their second major challenge: choosing what kind of incendiary material to use. Initially, they planned to arm the bats with white phosphorus, which ignites upon contact with oxygen and produces flames but is highly unstable. That is when chemist Louis Pfizer stepped in and invented napalm as a safer alternative to white phosphorus. While still unstable, napalm was less volatile than its predecessor, burned at lower temperatures, and most importantly, it allowed for the creation of smaller incendiary devices weighing just 17 grams. These miniature bombs were stored inside small containers called H2, which were attached to the bats' chests using adhesive. Contrary to some claims that the bats would bite through ropes and drop their bombs, the truth is they carried the explosives on them. These bats were essentially suicide bombers. The next question was how to get these bats into the missiles. The solution was simple: put them in a refrigerator to induce hibernation. Even though Mexican free-tailed bats don't truly hibernate, like temperate species do, they enter a state of torpor when exposed to cold temperatures. This allowed researchers to load the bats into cylindrical trays and pack about 1040 bats into a metal tube roughly 150 centimeters long. The plan was for these tubes to be loaded onto planes and dropped from around 1200 meters in altitude. The bombs would deploy parachutes, open sideways, and release the bats, who would then attack unprepared enemy cities below. However, turning this concept into reality required demonstrating its effectiveness through military exercises. Initial tests conducted by the U.S. Army Air Forces in March 1943 were surprisingly successful, with about 180 bat bombs destroying simulated buildings. But subsequent tests proved problematic. In May and June of the same year, two more experiments used 3,500 and 6,000 bats respectively, loaded into B-25 bombers and dropped from 1,500 meters. The results were disastrous. Many bats didn't wake up and fell to their deaths. Others flew off in the wrong direction. Worse still, some of these bats carried real bombs due to a careless operator's mistake, leading to fires at the U.S. Air Force Base where they escaped. No one could call for help because it was classified information, so everyone watched as the base burned down. After several failed tests, the project was transferred from the Army to the Navy in August 1943 and renamed Project X-Ray. The first test under new management resulted in 30 major fires, prompting serious reconsideration of the plan's viability. However, after numerous adjustments, things began to improve. In Utah's Japanese village, a mock-up of a Japanese city, the final tests were conducted with impressive results. The entire village was burned down by bat bombs, despite their small size and ability to ignite fires unnoticed inside buildings. Chemist Pfizer reported that while standard incendiary devices might cause up to 400 ground fires, bat bombs could start nearly 4,800. This marked a significant increase in destructive power, validating the concept's potential. With this success, plans were made for mass production of 1 million bat bomb units by the following year. Adams and his team felt excited and proud as their 2-year development effort, costing $2 million, finally bore fruit with the prospect of deploying these weapons over Japan. However, what happened next took everyone by surprise, because this weapon that seemed ready to be deployed was suddenly halted by an admiral. The reason was simple: a weapon that could make the bat bomb obsolete was about to be completed. By now, most people have guessed it, right? The atomic bomb. What happened in Japan afterward is well known, so I won't go into details. Due to its slow development speed, the bat bomb ended up being shelved because of the atomic bomb and never saw combat action. Its successful targets were only experimental sites, Japanese villages, and US military bases. Even so, its destructive power was proven, making it one of the most unusual and controversial military inventions in history.